Hey everybody. There is only one sin that can be committed in the world today. Just one. You cannot commit any other sin except for this one thing, and this one sin is what causes every single bit of evil in the world today. For this video, I'm going to need a cigarette. The only thing that you can do in the world today that is evil, that causes all evil, is to not see that everybody's flesh is the same flesh. Your flesh will end in the grave just like everybody's flesh. If you think that you can somehow be better in this flesh than someone else, then you've committed that sin, and because of that, you'll do all these other things. There are fleshly sins, and they are all forgiven. You don't have to know about Jesus. This is just telling the truth. And if you were to just tell the truth about what is around us, about how the world works today, you'd understand this. But if you do believe in Jesus, or you have understanding of that, then it would be the blood of Christ that covered the dirt. And we're made from the dirt. Alright? Jesus' blood ran down onto the earth. It rained on it. Went up into the sky. Transpiration spread throughout the whole world. Touched everybody. His blood ran onto the earth, and we're all made from the same dust. We're all subject to the same things. You know, there's poisonous plants here and everything else. People die. And what you do with this body does not matter. Has no bearing on your salvation whatsoever. These are the sins that aren't even sins anymore. They don't matter. Whatever you eat, drink, wear, smoke, don't drink, don't eat, don't wear, sex, no sex. Doesn't matter. They have no bearing on anything. It doesn't matter who you have sex with. It doesn't matter what gender they are. It doesn't matter anything. None of these things matter at all, one bit. What does matter is if you are a liar, manipulator, deceiver, molester, rapist, murderer, thief. Those things matter. All those things take from somebody else. Now, sex doesn't. I use sex because we're born of sex, so. Sex doesn't take from anybody. If it's a deal between two people, it hurts no one. That's all there is to it. Molestation, on the other hand, that hurts somebody. Rape, that hurts somebody. What happens is, if you don't if you don't realize that somebody else's flesh is the exact same as yours, and that you'll both die as their unrighteousness with God, that one person could be better in this flesh body and one person could not, and then they both end in the same grave and have the same fate, that's not righteous. That's not correct. The thing is we are all made of the same seed, the same dust, the same earth, and none of this stuff matters anymore in this present day and age. None of it matters whatsoever, but if you think it matters, you've just become a liar. If you think that you can be any better in this flesh, in this body, than anybody else, then you've just become a liar. You cannot steal from somebody whenever you think that their flesh is just as worthy as your flesh. You can't take from somebody else whenever you see them as you. You can't rape somebody whenever you see them as you. You can't murder somebody whenever you see them as you, that you are the exact same. You can't do any of these spiritual sins that aren't forgiven. Okay, you'll say, Jesus covered all flesh, sure, but then why were some people saved and some people damned? All flesh is covered, but yet some people were saved in the old world and some people were damned in the old world. Why? Because their hearts weren't covered. You can't pour blood onto a spirit. And if you would see that everybody's flesh is the same, all this violence and everything that happens, it's because guys will beat their wives because they found out that she lusted or something. Like that lust isn't in them. We're made of the same flesh, right? So they see themselves as better than them. These people that don't do things that other people do. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to smoke to be righteous. You can not smoke or smoke. You can be a virgin or you can have sex. It doesn't matter. These things don't weigh in the balance whatsoever. God only sees the blood of Jesus when he looks at the earth. That doesn't mean that you have to know about Jesus. You can be an atheist or anybody. This is just how the world works today. And if you tell the truth, you'll understand that this is how the world works. And if you didn't judge other people's flesh, you would not have any of these other problems. There is no need for you to lie unless you're trying to hide something that you don't want other people to know about your flesh. That's the only reason that you would lie. Whenever their flesh is the same, what are you lying about? What's the point? There's no reason to do these things, and there's no reason to get upset for other people that do them. There's only one sin in the whole world that causes all other sin. All of the borders, the racism, it's people thinking that their race is better, people thinking their city's better, people thinking their flesh is better, their marriage is better than your marriage, so then you care about your kids more than their kids, and you would steal from their kids to give to your kids, whenever the truth is they're just as important as you are. All kids should be treated equally the same, whether they're yours or anybody else's. All people should be treated equally the same, whether they are in your little group or in a different little group. We should all be the same group. And think about what I'm saying here. There wouldn't be any problems in the world if this is the way it was. The only sin that causes those spiritual sins that'll make you not make it to heaven is thinking that your flesh can somehow be holy. Thinking that you can somehow do something righteous in this flesh. I got news for you. Those plants you're eating in that plant-based diet, they die. You're eating dead food, which means you die. If you have bowel movements, that means that your food is not completely absorbed by your body, which means we are not perfect in this flesh, cannot be perfect in this flesh. And Jesus Christ never redeemed our flesh, but every man dies. It's appointed to every man to die. Your heart is what's important. And if you do not judge somebody else, you will not be a liar. You'll start to see the truth. You'll tell the truth about yourself and your own flesh. You'll tell the truth about everybody else's. And you won't be a liar, a manipulator, a deceiver, a molester, a rapist, a murderer. You won't fight people, nothing else, because they're just as important as you are. And this is the only thing that you could possibly do wrong. So don't do that anymore, and you'll be fine. After Christ fulfilled everything, there's no need for anything else anymore. Jesus Christ returned in 70 AD, Christianity ended, God is all and in all. The flesh is covered, God doesn't see it. This is a new heaven and a new earth. On this earth, God does not see your flesh. All that these things will do, eating, drinking, wearing, whatnot, wearing, whatever, sex, all that'll do is kill you. If you're born in sex, you're going to die. All that will do is kill this body. That doesn't matter. When you die, you'll see a light. You can make it into heaven. And this also, knowing that understanding, frees you up to be patient and kind and everything else, because you know that this isn't it. People who fight for their own flesh are afraid to die because they worked for that. They spent this many years of their allotted time, and they spent their blood, sweat, and tears doing this, that, or the other. So if you take from them, they want to kill you. How dare you take that from me? This is my life. My life's better than your life. I worked for this. Because what they have in this life, and they care about what they have in this life. But whenever you know this truth, that your flesh cannot be saved, and you don't judge anybody else for their flesh, which is just things natural to the flesh, desires, lust, sex, things that make us feel good, eating, all these things, they don't hurt anybody. They don't destroy or hurt anybody. Whenever you know these things, then you can have patience and you can be happy, and you just know that whenever you die, you haven't done anything wrong in the spirit, and you'll go straight to heaven. So, I hope you understand that there's only one sin. It's the only thing possible that you can do. And it causes all other sin in the world. It causes borders, language, and cultures, and states, and countries, and racism. And it causes us to be separate races instead of mixing together and becoming one race, where there is no racism. It causes every single bad thing in the world, wars, everything. You can't go to war, you can't be racist, you can't hate somebody else, you can't do anything like that, you can't murder somebody, you can't steal from somebody, you can't do anything like that whenever you don't judge your flesh to be better than their flesh. Then it is impossible to do those things to other people. Now, you don't have to know about Christ. You can be an atheist and still live by these principles and be absolutely fine. But these are the principles. The gospel's not being preached today. It was already preached. The end already came. We don't have to know about Christ. What we have to do is tell the truth, and then you will live this type of life, even without the understanding that I'm giving you about the blood of Christ and the new world that we live in today. You don't have to have that understanding. But you do have to be a good person, and if you listen to what I'm saying right now, it'll start making you tell the truth about every single thing in your life, and then you'll get the big truth on everything else. Anytime a preacher says that their flesh can be holy, they're going to end in the same grave as you. All right? Their flesh is not holy. Anytime they think that they're doing something that is righteous, or they fasted, or they pray out loud, or whatever it is that they think that they do, they are evil, and what will follow is either molestation, and they'll have murder in their heart, and they'll hate you, and they'll lie. They'll have to lie to hide their own flesh, and they'll lie and tell lies, so they'll never find the truth. They'll never find the right way. They'll never find the way that doctrine really is today. They'll never have answers in the Bible because they are a liar. You have to do what I'm talking about so that you don't lie, so that you can see the bigger picture. The truth comes from the ground up. It's not gifted to us from above. If you tell the truth in all the little aspects of your life, it causes you to be an honest person. And whenever you tell the truth about yourself and the people around you and just the things that you look at and see, just asking questions about what is naturally occurring all around you and in this life, the sun comes up, the sun goes down, that means we're going to die, that means there's light and darkness here, that means there's good and evil here. That's all you got to do. And then it causes you to tell the truth about everything in your life. And once you tell the truth about everything in your life, then you're no longer a liar, and you can see bigger pictures and things like Christianity ended in AD 70 and things like that. But you have to tell the truth in your life, because if you're a liar, you can't get the truth. And these guys are liars. They are liars who will not fess up to the fact that they are just as evil in the flesh. But they'll try to make you think that they're better than you. And that causes every bit of the evil, racism, separation, all of it. So don't judge anybody else for the exact same thing that we are. It was all covered. The earth is covered in the blood of Christ. It doesn't matter anymore. Once the old covenant ended, God no longer sees that. All he sees is the hearts of men. And it is the people who still judge the flesh that have all of these problems.